Hello everybody. Today is January 12th, 2017, and it's a little early for starting peppers or any plants really in my neck of the woods. It's minus 25 degrees Celsius outside, give or take a little bit, plus some wind chill drops it down to minus 30 something odd Celsius. And it's going to be cold and unpleasant for a while yet, but as with lots of you folks on the Google Plus community, pepper lovers community, I can't wait to start some of these. So I'm going to use a different method than I've used in the past. I've used Kang Star's double cup method quite a bit with rousing success. And I've used a few other methods. This time I'm actually going to try sprouting them in this tray with the paper towel, damp paper towel. So we're going to give that a try, and we'll see where it goes. And I'm going to try a couple of things here. I've got these, I've talked about these a couple of times in the community. These are El Salvador Birds Eye peppers. A co-worker of mine has a neighbor who is from El Salvador, and they go back semi-regularly. And they brought these these pepper pods. As you can see, they're very tiny pepper pods. Brought these back, and my neighbor, my coworker, has successfully grown some from seeds. So he brought me these, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and find a healthy, fair-sized pod that still has the calyx attached. This one here appears maybe a little light colored. So I'm thinking this one right here looks good. So I don't know if you can see that in the video at all. It's quite small. We're gonna pop that bad boy open and put some seeds into some paper towels. So let's get started with paper towel. Fold that in half and fold that in half again. Put that inside there. And I'm going to label that. This is El Salvador Bird's Eye. All right. That's good enough. Just so that I know what they are, I'm going to go ahead and pre-dampen. Now this water I've got here, I put a small amount of Epsom salts into the water. I'm a big proponent of Epsom salts. I find that my peppers always do better when there's a little bit of magnesium sulfate available. Now it's obviously from seed, they don't need the Epsom salt right away, but I figure it can't hurt, right? I also put a couple of drops of food grade hydrogen peroxide into the water as well. That just discourages some fungal growth, microbial growth, hopefully to help out these seeds, keep them from getting, from rotting or whatever, getting too much fungus. Some of you guys probably have done something like this before and have found that the paper towel gets covered in a tiny bit of mold, which I don't think is that much of a problem for these, but every little bit helps, right? I'd like to point out too that these are fairly spicy. I don't know exactly their Scoville rating, but I'd put them spicy enough that my fingertips are going to be not good for rubbing my eyes, let's just say. And as you can see, this bird's eye had a lot of seeds in it. I wasn't counting there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 seeds. in one bird's eye pepper. And I'm just going to close that up there. Spray. And that's it for that one. Now, I have spoken with lots of folks on the Google Plus Pepper Lovers community, and I've traded seeds with a few people. So I've even actually forgotten who sent me seeds. These ones here I purchased from these folks here, the Hippie Seed Company. They're in Australia, and there's a couple of interesting varieties there. I haven't actually decided what else I'm going to put in this tray. These ones are from a fellow Google Pluser, Darren Nicklin, and we've got a few in here. Let's see what we've got here. We got some orange habanero, some yellow chili, some Thai, some Carolina Reapers, some red jalapenos, some red Scotch bonnets. Those might be all right. And some red Fresnos. Those are from Darren. And let's put those aside for a minute. From Reservation Fire, I spoke briefly with this kind soul on Google Plus, and they sent me some orange starfish peppers, which I had asked for the contest. Now I've planted some of these already, and maybe I'll just pause the video here and grab the ones that I've planted. They're not doing very well. So this here is the orange starfish that came from Reservation Fire. As you can see, I planted these on November 4th, 2016. So they've been around for a while, and they were actually quite a bit taller, but they were next to a bunch of my other plants that had been infected with thrips. So they suffered. As you can see here, this leaf is showing the characteristic damage that happened when the thrips attacked. They seem to go, I think the thrips attack at the base of the leaf, somewhere in here, and also they go for the flowers. So, as you can tell, I've topped these bad boys off, and they're coming back. They're obviously too large for this container, and you see the roots are sort of suffering a little bit. See if I can get into the video here. There we go. So I'm going to have to pop these bad boys out of here and stick them into a different container. And I see I've got some fungus gnats as well. So what I did to start with was I sprayed these with some insecticidal soap and then topped them off, and they seem to be recovering. But I think I'm going to do some fresh orange starfish seeds on some paper towel, and then what I'll do is, instead of doing 3 in Kangstar's double cup method, instead of doing 3 in one of these, I will do 1 in one of these once it's sprouted. So without further ado, all my yakking and babbling, now this side of the tray is a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to double that over again. And all right, and of course I made everything wet, and my tape won't stick. I'll put the label on. All right. I put RF on there for Reservation Fire, so I remember who sent these to me. That way, if I get seeds from them, I can let people know what the source was. Now, I think some of these other ones were also for the contest for 2017. There's let's see, Jay's Peach Goat? Jay's Peach Goat? I can't remember, something like that. 7 pot, I think. Space peppers, solar flower, that sounds interesting, and some reapers. I will probably grow each of those, but for today I think I'm just going to plant these and we'll see how they go. I'll see about doing another update video in the future on these before I take them out, so you guys can see how they do. That bubbling you hear in the background, if you can pick it up in the video, I don't know, is a pot of spaghetti. Alright. So we got 6 of those in there. Now I was kind of struggling to decide on where I was going to put these to sprout. Incidentally, I got these containers from Swiss Chalet. Had spent some time with my in-laws here last summer, and we ordered some food from there. Didn't really enjoy the food that much, but their containers are fantastic for plants. So today is January 12th, 2017. I think what I'll probably do is put these on the windowsill at the front of my house. It faces south, and so it'll get some good intense sunlight. So it should get warm in here without being excessive. Now I also have another thing to show you guys, so hang on. So this is one of my plants that was attacked by thrips. Just grab a pair of scissors here. So, as you can see, these leaves, here, let me just maybe get one off here and sort of see it here. The end of the leaf is dry and crumbly, and it's got a few characteristic spots. Also, I don't know if you can see that in the video, facing the wrong direction, so I can't tell, but there's little tiny dots on there. And it has come to my attention that those indicate the damage caused by thrips. So you can see here there's a bright white spot there. And as far as I understand, those marks are characteristic of thrips. Thrips themselves are tiny, tiny little skinny bugs that are attracted to the white of a lot of different flowers, and they obviously do a fair bit of damage to the plant. So about a week ago, roughly, is when the worst of the attack was underway, and I sprayed it quite aggressively with insecticidal soap. So now that I'm quite sure that the thrips are gone, I'm going to cut down this plant a whole bunch. There's some fresh new growth up at the top here, and I'm going to sacrifice a lot of that. What I want, since it's still the middle of January, this is far too big to be in my house and survive. So, and I can't even remember what variety this particular pepper is. It doesn't matter. This was mostly an experiment to see if I could overwinter something. I believe it may have been, judging by the way the stalk is, sort of the nodes are all over the map. They're not very organized. You can sort of see here. It sort of bends and then bends and then bends in a very disorganized fashion. I've got one variety only that did that, and it's called Cascabella. Huge producer, lots and lots of pods, but yeah, it needs to be cut down. So let's just go ahead and start cutting it down. I'm going to do a little at a time here, and I'll probably end up cutting it down quite a ways. These scissors are perfect for this, by the way. It has a little divot which helps prevent squishing the stalk when I cut it. So let's see here. I think that whole thing's coming off. got some fresh growth in there. So a few other things that I've learned. Maybe some of you guys find this to be, common knowledge, but there are two different pests that like to go into your soil. There's the fungus gnats and the thrips. So one prefers wet leaves, the other one prefers dry leaves in the soil. So it's good to remove all that material from there. And I have in the past used a vacuum cleaner actually to sort of suck it all up. Works pretty well. Obviously I want to replace the soil if I suck up too much of that with a vacuum cleaner. And stir up the soil a little bit, sort of like mulching, like you would in a garden. And so the fungus gnats, they burrow into the soil and they lay eggs. The thrips, I'm not sure exactly how they use the soil, but in any case, they're attracted to the litter underneath the plant. So I probably could cut this down even farther. Maybe I will just sort of take this bad leaf off here. But I think all the remaining leaves here are fairly healthy. And there's a few sort of scrunchy leaves in there. They're all small leaves, so they're not going to use a whole lot of energy. Bad leaf up here, and here, and it's been cut off. So when you're overwintering, as I'm sure I'm not the only one who's learned, that if you've got big leaves, it uses a lot of energy. And if it's not getting a lot of sun, your plant's going to suffer. This, I think, looks good for the remainder, or at least the next few weeks. If I have any other issues with it, maybe I'll take another video. And so there you go. So that's the end of the video. I don't think I've got anything else to show you. Yeah, happy growing.